Psychic awakening begins with a sense that something in our lives demands deeper understanding. Often, this realization emerges as a restlessness we cannot ignore, a signal that there are aspects of ourselves that need to be explored and integrated. Carl Jung emphasized that the answers we seek are often found in the parts of our mind that we avoid facing, those that cause discomfort or remain outside of our conscious attention. This initial experience is not an isolated event, but the beginning of a process. It is a call to observe with attention the thoughts, feelings, and experiences that shape our existence. Recognizing this moment as significant is the first step toward understanding the depth of our psyche and the complexity of our inner world. With this, we begin to realize that the path to transformation is not external, but a personal journey of self-knowledge. This realization prepares us to explore, in the next step, the inner movements that drive this awakening and make it an ongoing experience. Psychic awakening does not happen in a single moment of understanding. It is a continuous process, a sequence of inner movements that reveal new dimensions of who we are. Each thought, emotion, and experience becomes a crucial piece in constructing a deeper understanding of our own nature. In this process, dreams, shadows, and synchronicities play essential roles. Dreams offer glimpses of the unconscious, bringing symbolic messages that help us decipher what has been repressed or ignored. The shadows, in turn, reveal the rejected aspects of our personality that need to be integrated. And synchronicities, seemingly random events, but full of meaning, show us unexpected connections between the internal and the external. Recognizing these signs requires attention and a willingness to listen to what the mind is constantly communicating. Ignoring them is staying disconnected from an essential part of ourselves. By integrating them into daily life, we realize that awakening is not a final destination, but a continuous movement that guides us toward a broader understanding. This journey intensifies when we feel the call to step out of our comfort zone and face the unknown, as we will see next. Psychic awakening often manifests as a call to explore unknown aspects of oneself. This call may arise subtly, as discomfort with routine, or intensely, as events that take us out of the ordinary and require a new perspective. Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell pointed out that the initial discomfort is not merely an obstacle, but an invitation to personal transformation. In everyday life, these calls may appear in simple situations, an unexpected conflict, the feeling of being lost, or even a sudden inspiration that challenges our usual beliefs. The important thing is to recognize that these moments carry meaning and have the potential to guide us toward profound changes. Responding to this call is not always easy. It requires courage to step out of the safety zone and explore what has not yet been understood. But this willingness to move forward prepares us for the next step, opening the door to the unknown and facing what we often avoid. The unknown always evokes a mix of fascination and resistance. It challenges our certainties and demands that we leave behind what is familiar. Psychic awakening invites us to cross this threshold, confronting not only what is beyond our understanding, but also what we have been avoiding within ourselves. This process requires the willingness to look beyond quick answers and question what we assume to be true. It is common to find resistance, as exploring parts of ourselves that have been ignored or repressed can be uncomfortable. However, it is in this openness to the unknown that we find opportunities for transformation. The decision to listen to this inner call and cross this threshold is deeply personal. There are no guarantees about what will be found, but there is the promise that something new can be understood and integrated. This movement prepares us to understand how dreams, so connected to the unconscious, can become valuable guides in this search. Dreams play a central role in psychic awakening. Unlike conscious perceptions, they emerge from deeper layers of the mind, carrying symbols that challenge the logic and linearity of everyday thinking. For Carl Jung, dreams are more than mere disconnected images. They are messages from the unconscious, expressions of inner wisdom seeking to communicate with consciousness. Many common dreams, such as falling, often reflect fears or insecurities that we avoid acknowledging while awake. It's not just about interpreting every detail, but understanding the emotional context and the impact these images have. They speak the language of symbols, bringing to the surface what might be repressed or forgotten. These symbols are often invitations to reflect on deeper issues, such as desires, conflicts, or neglected aspects of the personality. The connection with dreams is not automatic. It requires attention and openness. It's necessary to cultivate the ability to remember, write down, and explore what they bring. Over time, we begin to notice how these dream fragments intertwine with our experiences, offering insights into unaddressed fears and unexpressed desires. Thus, dreams become bridges between the conscious and the unconscious, revealing truths that would otherwise remain hidden. This symbolic connection also prepares us for the encounter with the shadow, another fundamental aspect of the psyche. While dreams shine light on our internal mysteries, the shadow demands that we face directly the rejected aspects of ourselves, an indispensable step for integration and self-awareness. The shadow, as described by Carl Jung, represents the aspects of ourselves that we prefer not to see. These are traits, thoughts, and behaviors we consider unacceptable, and thus we relegate them to the unconscious. However, ignoring the shadow does not eliminate it. On the contrary, it finds ways to manifest, often through projections. When we criticize something excessively in another person, it is common that we are rejecting in them something that is also part of us. Confronting the shadow is not an easy process. It requires the courage to admit that what we avoid looking at is also part of our wholeness. It does not mean giving in to these impulses, but recognizing them as part of who we are, instead of fighting or denying them. This acceptance allows us to deal with these internal forces more consciously, reducing their power over our actions. The integration of the shadow is not a one-time act, but a continuous practice. Each time we recognize a behavior or thought we previously ignored, we take a step towards self-knowledge. This integration does not make us perfect, but it makes us whole. Recognizing the shadow is liberating, as it reduces the influence of internal conflicts and enhances the ability to act with authenticity. As we face the shadow, we also begin to notice patterns and coincidences that seem to guide us. These events, which Jung called synchronicities, bring a sense that the inner and outer worlds are more connected than. It is in this meeting between the personal and the universal that the next steps of the awakening begin to reveal themselves. Synchronicities, as described by Carl Jung, are significant coincidences that go beyond chance. They occur at moments that seem charged with purpose, as if a message is being sent directly to us. These events connect the inner world of emotions and thoughts with the external world of actions and events, offering a glimpse that there is a greater order amidst the apparent chaos. These experiences can arise unexpectedly. Meeting someone who mentions exactly what we were thinking, observing recurring numbers or symbols at decisive moments, or feeling that certain events align with an internal need we barely understand. These connections, even if they seem subtle or trivial, often point to directions we had not yet considered. It's as if the unconscious finds a way to communicate with the external reality. However, it's important to approach synchronicities with discernment. They are not signs to be followed blindly, but opportunities for reflection. The value of a synchronicity lies not only in the event itself, but in what it awakens within us. They invite us to question, explore, and notice how we are connected to something greater, without losing balance. Relying solely on these events to make decisions can be as harmful as ignoring them. By understanding synchronicities as part of a broader process, we begin to realize how much psychic awakening requires balance. On one hand, we are drawn to the light of self-knowledge, but on the other, we also face the risks of disconnecting from the world and practical realities. This balance is essential for the awakening to be transformative and sustainable, as we will explore next. Despite its depth and promise of transformation, psychic awakening also presents risks. It is common for us to seek to distance ourselves from everything we perceive as mundane or superficial as we dive into this process. This disconnection, though it may seem like a natural step, can isolate us from the people around us and from the practical reality of life. A balance is needed so that the pursuit of self-knowledge does not become an emotional or social burden. One of the most common risks is obsession with the light. Many focus only on the positive or elevated aspects of awakening, avoiding confronting the shadow and the difficulties inherent in the process. This behavior creates an internal division, where important parts of the psyche are once again repressed, preventing true integration. Another danger is spiritual burnout, which can arise when we devote ourselves excessively to introspective practices without allowing time for rest or connection with the external world. Psychic awakening requires a careful balance between introspection and action, between reflection and connection with what surrounds us. It should not distance us from the world, but help us engage with it more consciously. This harmony is what prevents the process from becoming a burden and ensures it is truly transformative. As we advance on this path, another challenge arises: the risk of falling into spiritual ego. Recognizing the progress made is important, but when these advances are used as a symbol of superiority, we stray from the true purpose of awakening. This will be the central point of our next moment of reflection. The spiritual ego is one of the most subtle and dangerous challenges in psychic awakening. It arises when advances in self-knowledge or introspective practices become sources of pride or a sense of superiority. Instead of transforming the individual in a genuine way, the ego takes ownership of the progress to create an illusionary identity of someone who knows more or someone who is more advanced. This not only interrupts growth, but also distances us from authentic connections with others. This type of trap is easy to identify in others, but difficult to recognize in oneself. It can manifest in small behaviors, such as the need to constantly validate one's own knowledge, or the tendency to judge those who have not yet walked the same path. When the ego dominates, the pursuit of self-knowledge ceases to be an internal process and becomes an external effort to maintain an idealized image. True transformation does not happen on the surface, but in the humility of accepting that the growth process is continuous and has no final point. Recognizing our flaws, limitations, and what we still need to learn keeps us anchored in reality and open to new discoveries. Psychic awakening is not a stage for display, but an invitation to a deeper connection with the totality of who we are. This understanding leads us to the realization of the duality present in our existence: light and shadow, positive and negative, acceptance and resistance, all coexist within us and need to be integrated for us to find internal balance and harmony. Duality is an inherent condition of human existence. Light and shadow, joy and sadness, strength and vulnerability. These polarities coexist within us and are part of who we are. Often we try to avoid the emotions or experiences we perceive as negative, believing that doing so will make us better or more complete. However, this rejection only creates internal imbalance, where fundamental parts of ourselves remain ignored. Psychic awakening requires that we look at this duality with acceptance, rather than labeling aspects of our experience as good or bad. It is necessary to understand that each of them plays a role in the process of self-knowledge. Sadness, for example, can reveal profound truths about our needs and desires, while anger can indicate boundaries that need to be respected. Denying these emotions is denying an essential part of our humanity. Integrating these polarities means embracing both the aspects we admire in ourselves and those we reject. This does not mean accepting everything without criticism, but allowing these parts to coexist in harmony without one attempting to suppress the other. This balance creates a sense of wholeness, where all facets of our psyche are recognized and respected. This process of integration is a crucial step toward what Carl Jung called individuation, the path to becoming who we truly are in an authentic and conscious way. It is through this acceptance of duality that we move toward fullness, exploring our true essence with greater depth. Individuation, according to Carl Jung, is the process of becoming whole. Unlike the pursuit of an idealized version of ourselves, it involves accepting who we truly are, with all our flaws, imperfections, and potentialities. It is a continuous movement of self-discovery where each experience, whether positive or challenging, contributes to our understanding and connection with our essence. This process invites us to look beyond the masks we wear daily, whether they are created to please others or to hide our vulnerabilities. Individuation does not seek perfection, but authenticity. By recognizing our mistakes, we learn from them. By accepting our qualities, we discover how to use them meaningfully. Each aspect of our personality, when integrated, brings us closer to a truer life. It is not a linear path, but a constant construction, where we revisit parts of ourselves with new perspectives. Individuation teaches us that psychic awakening is a process that requires patience and commitment. There are no shortcuts or defined endings, only the opportunity to grow in understanding and connection with ourselves and the world. This growth, however, does not follow a straight line. It manifests cyclically, as we will see next, returning to previous challenges and reflections, but always with a broader and more mature view. Psychic awakening is not a linear path. It unfolds in cycles, bringing back issues and challenges that we thought we had overcome, but now from a new perspective. This cyclical movement reflects the continuous nature of human growth, where each stage prepares us to revisit the past with greater understanding and maturity. This recurrence may feel frustrating at first, as it gives the impression that we are stuck in the same dilemmas. However, it is essential for the transformation process. Each time we return to a point, we find nuances we didn't notice before and can approach the challenge more consciously. It is not a setback, but an opportunity to deepen our learning. Awakening has no final destination. It is a constant evolution. Just as the seasons change, bringing renewal and transformation, we also review our experiences, emotions, and choices, integrating them in more meaningful ways. Each cycle brings us closer to a broader view of who we are and what we can become. This understanding that growth is infinite teaches us to value the present and to accept the natural rhythm of change. And by integrating all these experiences, we recognize that true awakening lies in accepting and fully living the nuances of being, as we will explore in the conclusion. Psychic awakening culminates in the integration of all the nuances of being. It is not about reaching a perfect version of ourselves, but about understanding that we are composed of multiple facets, light and shadow, certainties and doubts, victories and failures. This acceptance leads us to a more balanced life, where every experience, no matter how challenging, becomes part of a meaningful whole. Throughout the process, we learn to listen to the internal and external signs that guide us. They may come in the form of dreams, reflections, or even events that challenge our worldview. These signs are not definitive answers, but invitations to continue exploring and integrating everything that makes us unique. It is in the union of these fragments that we find a sense of wholeness, not as a final destination, but as a state of constant evolution. True transformation lies in living with greater awareness, recognizing that awakening is not a distant goal, but something that occurs in every moment we choose to know ourselves better and connect more deeply with what surrounds us. This movement is the essence of self-knowledge, a continuous cycle of discovery and integration that invites us to live more authentically and fully.